We're live in five, four, three, two, one. How's it going, guys? Welcome to the show. Welcome to my podcast, my little old podcast. One man in his own studio doing a podcast. Hope you guys are good. We're live on X tonight, Rumble, Twitch, live on Twitch. And when I say Twitch, I think of twitching. Live on Twitch on the old YouTube machine. And we are we're on your phone right now. We're live on your phone. I'm gonna pin this to my profile on X, which I love to do. And let's play the audio. Okay, cool. Audio's there. We have to talk about the biggest news in the world right now. It's huge. It's huge. And I don't have a long monologue, but I have a short one for you. The Epstein file thing is one of the most incredible, um, I'll just say, moments in the history of the United States of America. What happened today is it's unprecedented in Congress. It's astounding, and the revelations that we are getting, just the way Congress is acting, what we're getting from that is it's unbelievable to me. I am really disturbed by how Congress has taken the Epstein list situation and they're making it their god. They're worshiping it like a god. They are putting everything aside for this issue. Today, if you haven't paid attention to the news, if you're watching this, you probably do. Congress passed the Jeffrey Epstein transparency bill, whatever it's called, and it went through the House. Now they've been working on it for quite some time, and they would have voted before the shutdown, but you know that story. But they came back, and boom, they're on it. Trump finally said, "Do what you got to do," and the House voted on it, 427-1, I think. The Senate didn't actually physically vote, but Thune, who is the leader of the Senate, came out and said, "It's passed. We have enough votes, no question. So we're just going to verbally pass it. It can go to the president tonight." Now, you didn't know they could do that, did you? Interesting, right? A lot of people knew that, but it doesn't happen. It's never happened in, like, I guess 20, 30 years. I mean, if it has happened, you'd have to dig in and really research and find it. I didn't. I looked at some sources today and stopped after I realized this is hard enough to find that it's unprecedented. So we are learning that. Well, let me continue. And then Trump said, "Okay, send it to my desk." Now that's changed a little bit since 5 hours ago. Trump said he might veto it. That's breaking news for you. Now it could be just Fugazi and he'll sign it. But now Johnson and Trump are both saying they're surprised that the Senate didn't actually vote, but they said pass it. Right? They just, which is wild. A lot of people thought the Senate would be the place would be held up, and Trump was calling the bluff by saying, "Hey, just go for it, House," because it's a constant battle in Marjorie Taylor Green, whatever, and Massey and a couple of folks have just taken this and made it their thing. And so the House was so disrupted by the drama that Trump was just like, "Go for it." Interesting. So we'll talk about that. And now they're saying that they were surprised that the Senate didn't like change the bill at all, which is what the Senate normally does. They just said, "We're cool with this," which could be a strategy so that Trump is forced to veto it. It's unclear. But what is clear is that the Jeffrey Epstein thing is wild. And Jeffrey Epstein and Satan are right now in hell laughing together. They're just having belly laughs going, "We control the United States Congress. We control the United States." Jeffrey Epstein, the ghost of Jeffrey Epstein, is controlling our government. Some of you think Israel's controlling our government. No, sex scandals. It's a controversial serial sex offender. And I'm going to be careful on the phraseology I use on this podcast because just a disclaimer, because it's hard. Certain words will get banned on YouTube or like it's tricky. Like X, anything goes. But it's not like I'm holding back on any, for a purpose. It's just that YouTube is a great distributor of content, Spotify and iTunes, which I'm not on yet, but I'm working on it. There's so much going on in my life. I don't have time. But to get to it, I'm trying to get those. But so I'm going to just tread lightly on it. Plus, it's a disgusting thing that happened to these victims. And I feel like this only perpetuates it. So I have a real hard time engaging in Epstein conversations. I really do. I just don't really talk about it with people because to me, I don't need to debate it. I know where I'm at on it. And if you're over 40, 35, the Jeffrey Epstein thing has been in your face for 10 years, 5 years when he died. I guess it's been about 4 or 5 years when he was murdered. He was killed. He was killed for what he knew. We all know this. But anyway, now it's such a big deal. It's such a dominant thing. And if you're under 30, you don't know anything about this. And a lot of this is done for younger voters. This is what Congress is doing because they're aging out. And a lot of these cats are looking at the numbers and they're saying, whoa, the Epstein thing is really important. I want to get voted back in. So I'm just going to ride this train. I appreciate the politics of it. But Jeffrey Epstein is since Pam Bondi, well, it's been a year. Think about how fast it's gone. Trump and he never specifically said release the Epstein files, but he insinuated it. So he owns this too. They're all owning it. But Kash Patel, Bondi, they're all made a big thing about the Epstein files. And one of the things I'm going to tell you tonight, I have a list. I have a list I created. It's really hard. You'd use the internet. You use AI. AI gave me a list of every name that has been connected to Jeffrey Epstein that has been reported in the media, whether good or bad, every name that we know. It's 90 names, approximately 90. I went with the hard number of 90, between 85 and 90. The list that it gave me left out a few people that I even know were on it. One I'm going to name right off the bat because I don't want to forget. And there was also a Rolodex. If you don't know what a Rolodex is, Google it. But back in the day, young people, you didn't have your phone. You didn't have everybody in your contacts, right? That's your Rolodex. A Rolodex was literally a roller with like flip cards on it, and it would roll. And they had these it was a big business. Everybody had a Rolodex. It'd be on your desk. It was there was cutesy ones and themed ones, and you would spin this paper roller, and these cards would pop off. They had these little notches. You could pop them off, and you take a pen and write down Jason Daniel. Don't miss his podcast. Jason at jasonjdaniel.com, Rumble, YouTube, X, right? And you have Jason's contact, and you stick it back in that Rolodex, and it's like you got A, B, and C, right? And you flip it around, right? That's a Rolodex. Okay, so Jeffrey Epstein had a Rolodex. He had a black book. He had more than one property, right? In the black book, there's a lot of people that that you like their movies and you like their music. Okay? There's a lot of people on this list. I have made a list. I've eliminated Wikipedia as a source because it's toxic and it's full of lies. I skip over Wikipedia. When I Google, you read Wikipedia, I skip over I go right to a source. But Wikipedia might be a secondary source on some of these first sources, but every one of these names have been first sourced, and I'll give you that information. So before we get into it, I really feel like the more we talk about this scumbag, the more we give him power. He is now one of the most famous celebrities in history. He's a celebrity, let's be honest. And if you're under 40, you don't know what he represents. You just don't understand. You think everybody thinks there's a secret list of sex offenders that have been hidden from America. Maybe. I don't know. We haven't seen it. It's an urban legend. It, at this point, it's an urban legend. We've heard about it for 10 years. And then the Trump folks, I was going to say earlier, before I got caught up on Rolodex, the Trump folks made it so much more worse. It was, and I have a podcast. I did a podcast on that a year ago, and it went down. Man, it's been about a year, maybe less than a year. It's been less than a year, but it's an unforced error. They didn't have to make a thing of it, and they did, those fake binders and all. I can't explain. The truth is, I can't explain. There's two sides of it. What Trump has done on his own about this, I can't explain it because it's all against conventional wisdom. But there's something about Trump that you just don't understand. He's a strategizer. He will give you something, and then you choke on that bone like a dog with a bone that can't handle it. And then he comes in and he will be the hero. He will look smarter. It's a common real estate. It's a common sales practice, right? It's a negotiating. He just does that kind of stuff all the time. So there's a part of me and a part of you that might be like, when Trump was like, no, 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 and called it a hoax, and then turned it into that and all these things. And then he capitulated yesterday or something and said, just go for it. And then today they did it. Yeah, it was yesterday. Today they did it in one day. That to me is the most frightening thing out of this, is that Congress has demonstrated to us. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself, but today they demonstrated to us they can solve any problem facing America in one day. They just don't want to do it. They don't do it on purpose. It blew me away. It's unprecedented. As I was saying earlier, I watched somebody that's a very smart old school guy today podcast, and he's like, and he's been covering politics for 30 years. He's worked with everybody. He knows everybody. He said, I've never seen this before. It's been 40 years. Like that the Senate, first of all, that it passed in one day. And second of all, that the Senate said, we don't even need to vote. We're in. Like, that's a rule. He can just say, we pass it. It's crazy. It's crazy. So they're letting us down. So I'm going to give you, this is a late night podcast. I normally do my podcast early. I'm digressing, but you may see this in the morning, but I'm going to give you some FFT, some food for thought. And I'm not enthused about this for a lot of reasons. And I'm a conservative, and I think Democrats need to take it on the chin, right? I think, hey, the Democrats, there's a lot of Democrats on the list, more Democrats than Republicans by far, like 5-1. And again, I'm going to read you 90 names. So I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'm going to stream it tonight because I haven't seen anybody do this. I haven't seen anybody give you all the names that have been reported in the media. And these are some big, heavy hitter names. And when I read these names to you, you're going to be like, yeah, I've heard that before. We've heard these names before. So what I'm trying to say is, when you watch this, the news in the morning may be different. Trump may have vetoed it. Who knows? It's right around 12. It's 12:03. So cool. I started it yesterday. We're going to end it the next day. So I'm going to give you some FFT, some food for thought. I'm going to show you some graphics, and I'm going to give you some things to think about. And I want you to draw your own conclusion. And please understand, not everybody's excited about this. I'm not excited about this because it's revealing the worst things to me about our system, our nationwide political system, that I've known, and I thought we were getting better, but I don't think we are. Because Congress did what they did with this, and they're turning this into a sex lusty scandal that is taking away from the victims. Now it's like it's a lust like scandal. It's a lust for the lust. Like, we want to know who was doing dirty things. That's what it's about. It's not about the victims. It's never been about that. And by the way, today I didn't realize that a lot of the victims, again, the news is coming out when it's convenient, but but it's everywhere. A lot of the victims, and this is more than one source, have been paid out a lot of money because there were lawsuits against the estate and certain people, right? And there's certain people that paid out a lot of money that victimized these ladies, and the ladies signed NDAs, the ladies at the press conference. So the victims that got justice in court in these, I guess, secret court, I guess there were a lot of lawsuits that were settled maybe out of court. Maybe that's why we didn't see them in court, probably. But a lot of these people had unlimited wealth that okay, I'll just say me, that would not have, right, to solve these problems. So the good news is a lot of these victims have been compensated. But the weird news is, well, okay, so they're hiding behind NDAs. It's weird. So the way Trump is handled, it's weird. And I'm not saying it's insinuating guilt. I'm speculating. I will give you a reason in a few minutes. We'll get to it. When we get to the list, I'll give you a reason why I think Trump was so like against this, because it seems pretty clear that if there was, again, this is just reality. I'm going to say something to you right now. And if you tell me, no, Jason, that's not, I'm going to say to you, you're lying to yourself. Here's what I'm going to say. If there was some concrete, hard evidence that Donald Trump engaged in the sexual assaults or misconduct of these women, it would have already come out, guys. It would have. I don't understand why people are thinking they're going to get a bombshell. Everybody that's aware of this, there's a lot of people aware of it, okay, have said there's no smoking gun. There's weird stuff that might come out, like the emails that are leaking out about Epstein. By the way, everybody now, Epstein's the source. Anything he wrote, we're going to trust that, okay? He's the worst fucking scoundrel, and he's a convicted sex offender, a felon, running a sex trafficking operation, okay? And he wrote emails when he was in trouble and facing trial. So, but we're going to believe everything this fucking guy said. Even one of his lawyers who did an interview with him, or did an interview that I watched yesterday, said he fired me because I knew he was lying about everything. So you may not believe that. And I'm not drinking any Kool-Aid. I'm just telling you, I've been around for years when this has been a thing. And yes, pictures during the campaigns, pictures of Trump hanging out and having drinks with them did circulate. Sure. Elon Musk has those. Billy Clinton, Kevin Spacey, George Clooney. List goes on. There's 90 people. Everybody seems to have a photo of Epstein in New York drinking it. Harvey Weinstein hung out with him. You're not shocked by that. So a ton of people. There's people on this list. It's going to surprise you. I was surprised. I was like, AI is going to catch most of it. Let's rock. I was surprised. I did this list about 4 hours ago. So my point is, but Trump has acted like there is something to hide. Let's be real. Okay. So I get it, but there have been Trump has run for president 3 times, guys, and it never came out. Stormy Daniels came out. He wrote the check for the porn star, came out. They changed they were hiding the numbers with the accounting. That came out. They gave him 65 felony charges to try to keep him from running for president again. They went through everything, guys. I mean, you tell me. They grabbed him by the pussy tape. I mean, come on. So I'm having I feel like I'm in a novel and I'm having a real hard time, okay, just suspending my disbelief in this movie we're living, this simulation, and telling myself there's a big revelation coming. I would love to do that with myself. Who doesn't love revelations? But the evidence doesn't show that to me. And when Joe Robinette Biden was a zombie and his lunatics were controlling the Department of Justice and going after every single J6 or any American they could throw in jail or the gulag and suspend their constitutional rights, when they were doing that and they were banning people on Twitter and taking over Facebook, when that regime was popping at full speed, do you think they wouldn't have brought all that stuff out and tried to destroy Trump? Then of course they would have, because that's all they talked about. MAGA and Trump, Dark Brandon. They were so afraid of Trump that as soon as J6 went down and all these things, they started plotting against Trump for 4 years. So you can't tell me. I'm just, don't treat me like this, Amelia. Don't tell me that I'm not being reasonable by saying it would have come out already if there was a smoking gun. I'm not being unreasonable. That's reasonable. So when healthcare is a crisis, we've been talking about the healthcare crisis, guys. Remember that? The SNAP crisis, hungry Americans, right? Right? The first thing Congress does when they come back is this in less than a working day. They pass this and get it to the president. You can't tell me the con's not on. This whole thing is a con. And I'm very, very concerned that everybody's in on it, most cases. The only one who isn't acting like he's in on it is Donald J. Trump. He's the only one like talking. Look, he's upset over it. He's called it a hoax. He's done all these things, and everybody's mad at him. And his own party's turning against him because he seems to be the only one. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm drinking the MAGA Kool-Aid, but he seems to be the only one that's got his eye on the ball saying, how about this? And tariffs and healthcare. And we've done this and we've done that. He's the only one that keeps saying we're getting distracted from moving America forward. And what part of that is wrong? Is this the most important thing facing? Let's be real. I understand everybody wants to be on a high horse of morality and you want to route out you want to route out. Again, I have to be careful with my terminology. I don't want to get my YouTube has pulled one of my videos before and I was being really benign. It's frustrating to have a video pulled. You work hard on it. So I'm trying to be very careful with some of my words here. But I mean, is that to route out these? I mean, come on, man. Congress has done so much shit. I mean, these billionaires, they do so much shit to people all day long. They bankrupt people. Kids go hungry because corporations destroy the lives of Americans that can't pay the outrageous energy bill. It's just landlords. I mean, come on. The Congress lets all that shit go down. Congress does not care. And so you're telling me the Epstein list, the most important thing facing the United States is this? If you think this is the most important thing facing the United States, you really have to check your priorities. But anyway, look, you may hate me and unfollow me, but rock on. I mean, I think you should follow me, but it's up to you. Look, so the Epstein. So here's my food for thought, and I'm going to try to get this cut in an hour. We got 40 minutes because it's late and I have a lot of things to do. I mean, I would go on for 3 hours, but so here's food for thought. Number one, the Epstein victims did a press conference today, and they've done a few of them with Marjorie Taylor Greene. And I asked myself, and Ro Khanna and Massey, and I asked myself repeatedly, why aren't the victims naming the people in the press conference? Why don't they just go to the mic and say, Bill Clinton did this to me. George Clooney did this to me. This person did this to me. George Clooney, he was in Virginia Giuffre's book. There you go. So I asked myself, why aren't they naming these names? Wouldn't that answer a lot of questions? A lot of people have been asking themselves that today. And what has been coming out is, here's the rebuttal. They all signed NDAs because they got paid out millions of dollars. Okay. Food for thought. I thought It's so important to get these names out to hold these scoundrels accountable. I thought that was more important than money and power. That I thought we're doing it to be righteous, right? Interesting. I understand another one of the rebuttals is, well, if they break the NDA, they're going to get sued into oblivion by this person that did the deal with them. Are you kidding me? You think do you actually think, come on, I hope you can appreciate that I'm a common sense person and this podcast is about common sense. Come on. Do you think if somebody came out that signed an NDA and said, "Hey, but I did it but for America and for so and so did this to me." Larry Sumner's is a name that's coming up and I think he's one of the guys that settled one of the deals. Trump brought him up. And I guess Sumner's already did an apology. He was hanging out with Epstein and Epstein was coaching him on how to seduce younger women that worked for him. Okay, so Epstein did more than hurt people. He coached people on how to hurt people. Okay, so it is what it is. He's dead. He got what he deserved. I guess being murdered by strangulation is terrible. That's a terrible way to get. It's a terrible way to die. And his legacy is he's a scumbag, but I mean, come on, he's famous now. He's notoriously famous, and don't think that there's people that worship this guy. They think there's a lot of bad people, and he obviously catered to them. So let's go back to common sense. Do you think there's a single judge in the United States that would enforce an NDA on one of these victims who went out on a limb and said, "I'm doing this for America"? Because Congress, I mean, come on, like the president couldn't, do something for this. Like these victims are in the power game. They're up there. I mean, this is a big deal. They're doing commercials and PR, and they've got a PR thing. It's come on, guys. Food for thought. Now, you might think I'm being just that guy. Food for thought. If you're excited to here's another one. If you're excited to hear terrible revelations about what powerful people have done to young, innocent women, there's something wrong with you. If this list comes out, here's the thing. If this list comes out and there are people on that list, if there's even quite, but anyway, the documents come out. And they've already dropped 20,000 pages already, but you guys don't really hear about that because you just hear about the one email that Trump's name. But there are other emails that had a lot of revelations, by the way, but that's not getting reported. If I had the time, I'd go through those documents myself, but who has that time? And I just feel like it's glorifying what this guy did. This whole thing is glorifying Epstein. Do you not see what this is? This is glorifying a monster. They're talking about him every day. They're worshiping this guy. And it's politics, but like they're really into the lust for this. It's Taylor Greene, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Margaret, whatever her name is. I should know it. Marjorie Taylor Greene destroyed. Maybe it's political theater, but she has destroyed. I'll just go with it. Her relationship with the president of the United States over this. The most powerful man in the world, nuclear arsenal. Trump's the most powerful person in the world. She destroyed her relationship with that guy for this, to champion this. I'm intrigued by that because she's a millionaire. You may not know. She was a millionaire before she was elected because of some family business. So she's one of the folks that did not get enriched in Congress more than she was already enriched. I mean, she's probably making good money doing other things. My point is, what does a rich person love more than money and sex? It's money, sex, power. That's the correct answer is power. So what's the most powerful person to have as your ally? Trump. And she was always kissing his ass, right? And texting and taking it, she was calling him Trump gives people access to him, right? But she tossed that away. She threw it away for something much more powerful. And a lot of people say she was going to run for a governor of a state, and Trump said Bad idea. I need you in Congress. A lot of people say this is why she did this retribution, because she was like, I've done all these things for you, Trump. Now you won't help me be a governor? Because what's the next step for Taylor Greene? President. Everyone wants to be president. Everybody wants to be president, guys. Everybody in Congress wants to be president. Everybody wants to be the president. Now, Prince had a song that with a lyric that said, every time I talk about it's so funny, I think of this a lot. He said, "You be the president, I'd rather be the Pope." That was what Prince said. That's a quote from one of his songs. And the reason why I said that is the Pope controls your sex life. The Pope controls, that's the concept. Religion is more powerful than politics. Cults, those kind of things. I digress, but I'm going somewhere. So she wanted everyone to be president. So the rumor is, the back rumor is, she's upset over this, or upset over Trump saying, I don't want you to run for governor, stay in Congress. And so she flips on him and is becoming, she's battling him to become, and then doing all the talk shows of the people he hates to send him a message that she can hurt his reputation. Like, she's doing a power play. And would you be surprised if she ran for president in the primary against JD Vance, now that she's killing the MAGA label, right? I digress. That's a whole nother story. But my point is that everybody has an agenda. And what Congress did today just only frightened me even more, to solidify, if they want to do something to just to get it done, they don't need anything but one day. So that shows me they don't fucking care about the real problems of America, because they've been taking years and saying they can't fix these problems. But something that's not important to America, it might be important to you if you're obsessed with these things, cool. But to America, to the inflation, to the crypto market that's growing, to the stock market, to healthcare, this is pointless. And if you think I'm wrong, then you need to check yourself. There's something wrong with you. There's no equation. This situation is not it's not a moral litmus test. It doesn't matter to me what Epstein has in his files from 20 years ago. He's a dead, dumb motherfucker. I care about the price of beef being $15 a pound for ground beef, and steaks being $30, for a pound. Like, I care about the soybeans. I care about coffee. I care about the economy. That's what Jason cares about. But everybody's different. And then I'm not excited to hear powerful people did bad things. That depresses me. That just solidifies the fact that they can do it and get away with it. Is that maybe that's what we need to see? But they're still going to get away with it. What do you think's going to happen? There's a list that comes out, which will be redacted again. It's just pointless. It's going to go on and on and on and on. It's never enough for you guys. It's never enough. And it's not an issue of morality. I had a friend who I love dearly, who heard some things I said on one of my videos and was interested and was like, well, what do you don't think this is important and that these people were doing this? And I said, hey man, this has been going on for 10 years. It wasn't important to anybody until now. And the longer this goes on, the victims are being compensated. They're being taken care of. They're being protected. They're fine at this point. I don't know about the ones that maybe they're victims that aren't, they should all come out and you're going to be taken care of. So as far as taking care of the people that were hurt, that's happening. We're doing that. But as far as like, we want to get, like Bill Clinton, nobody's prosecuted him. He was on the plane 40 times. He was at the island. Bill Clinton, everybody knew Clinton was there. Everybody's known it for years. Nobody's done a fucking thing about Bill Clinton. There's enough evidence to indict him. What if he's one of the guys that did an out of court settlement? Most likely he is, right? So you've got that. Why aren't you going after? So this is what I told the person. Why aren't they going after? I named 4 people. There you go. Well, why is the media reporting about that? Look, I'm an American. I'm a voter. I have a right to not think this is the most important thing in America. And there's nothing wrong with me and there's nothing wrong with you if you don't think it's as important as the economy, because it's fucking not. And if you think it's more important than the economy, then you probably don't have any problems in your life. And you really need to see that this whole thing is one click away from burning down. Look at what happened with the housing crisis. We're one click away from another catastrophe, and this is not even a concern, man. And no one will give a fuck if the stock market crashed like it did way back, recent, what was it, couple years ago? And if the housing market crashed like in '08, nobody would fucking give a damn about this. But because we are fat and lazy and greedy in our politics, not our people, our politicians. Everybody knows we're getting hosed. Everybody knows we're getting hosed with prices. Everybody knows. But we are more concerned about what Jeffrey Epstein did with his pants off. We're more concerned about that. And we say we're looking after victims, but come on, man. This is another sex scandal that we're more interested in than the price of gasoline. That's what we're more interested in. And then the Saudi Arabian guy, the guy that runs Saudi Arabia, who had a journalist executed. He was a Saudi Arabian journalist, had a journalist executed, and he was at the White House, and Trump's making deals so we can get gasoline. He's doing dirty deals with dirty people, and that's not a much that doesn't concern anybody as much as what's in Jeffrey Epstein's email. So if you're looking for a powerful revelation, my battery's dying on my mouse. So sorry, guys. If you're looking for a powerful revelation coming out, if you're looking for some dastardly thing, I mean, what if Trump, what if Trump or somebody in our government that has a lot of power is there? Let's hypothetically say there is some kind of evidence that puts our country in a serious crisis. Now, I'm not saying it shouldn't be dealt with. Don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is that would not be a good thing for America. You may think it's the right thing for that to come out. I'm not going to begrudge you that. Sure, I can't argue with that. But would it be the best thing for America to have a crisis in our government over our leadership, over the Epstein stuff? We already kind of have one, but that would shut us down. It would be an epic crisis. Now, I'm just being factual. I'm a guy who is I need you to understand me. I'm more concerned about people eating. I'm more concerned about the economy. I'm a populist. I'm not concerned about people's morality. And again, no one wants this to happen to victims. Our hearts go out to the victims. But some of these victims have been paid very well. They're good. I mean, unless they're afraid they're going to be suicided by some foreign adversary. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Epstein did die. Probably Israel or MI6 killed him. Look, he had dirty secrets. He had secrets on the royal family, which came out. You don't think they wouldn't kill him for that? So, look, I don't. And maybe it's an Israel thing. Everybody thinks Israel is hanging out with him, which there were some Israeli government people that were friends. So it's just it just would be a terrible thing for America if something came out on the president. And you may want that. Cool. I particularly don't want that. I don't want it to be true. And I'm not saying don't dig in and investigate. We've been doing it for 10 years. That's what I'm trying to say. The media and these bloggers or whoever, these podcasters that are 25 want to make you feel like that we're just looking into this. We've been doing this for 15 years. That's why I'm exhausted by it. I've heard I remember 10 years ago, I remember sitting in a chair getting my hair cut 10 years ago when Epstein was convicted of sex crimes in Florida. Okay. And I was like reading it going, this is unbelievable. He's connected all these people and Bill Clinton. Nobody, it was a story. Nobody did shit about Clinton. I was blown away then. 10 years later on podcast. Come on, man. We can't figure if it's crazy to me that now we're all just we're solving it in a day. No, we went from a government shutdown to another government shutdown because this is all we're going to be dealing with through the holidays. And Merry Christmas, we're talking about a sex scandal, underage sex scandal, victims that were sexually assaulted. Merry Christmas. People are just lustful about scandals where people are hurt. It depresses me. I happen to be a person that goes, let's not do, here's the thing. Like, I know I digress, but I mean, I turn on Netflix and it's like it's crazy. Another movie glorifying a serial killer. Hulu, Netflix, Ed Gein, Ted Bundy. They don't do any of that anymore. The guy, Jeffrey Dahmer, David Koresh. It's starting to disturb me to see how much our media and our social media and our popular media, how much they glorify monsters and killers. And now they have it used to be a documentary, like they're pieces of shit, and it was terrifying. Now it's like we're doing a $20 million movie. We're going to get Sons of Anarchy, hot stud guy to be a monster, and then Ed Gein, and then we're going to get Evan Peters, who's a fantastic actor, to be Jeffrey Dahmer, and we're going to have him killing men. People are obsessed with this shit. Like now serial killers are like superheroes. That's what we're doing with Jeffrey Epstein. And you watch the Epstein movies, they're going to be flying on Netflix, and you're going to be watching them. Not me. I don't watch that shit. I tried to watch the Jeffrey Dahmer thing, and I got it 5 minutes in. I'm like, it's not entertaining for me to see them glorify Jeffrey Dahmer. It's not entertaining. It's dark shit. Even Evan Peters, I'm a big movie TV guy. You guys know that. Even Evan Peters, after an interview, said, I'm done doing like the horror stuff, like the bad guys. He goes, because he's done a lot of horror stuff for years. That's how he made his bones. He's a really good dark actor, right? And he said being Dahmer really fucked him up. He said, I'm very fucked up. If you understand the acting process, some actors take it extremely serious and they get into a headspace that is very dark to do these people. Now, not everybody does, but some get into that method. It's called method acting. And I've heard that phrase before, but it's more than just call me Mr. President. It's more than that. Just like walking around talking with the accent all day, even when you're not filming. No, it's like going home with it and obsessing and like thinking, what would I do if I was stalking people? Like they get very, and then they have to do scenes where they're performing murders. It's dark shit. I mean, I'm an actor and I've done very emotional like scenes, in acting class and working with people, and you get pulled in, and you disconnect. You're like, okay, cool, the scene's over. But but it's, imagine doing a very dark murder scene 7 times, 10 times. There's a lot of different things that come out of people when they're in these sets, and they create. Look, the sets are so realistic. And I've been in a situation where I was in a set where they created a very scary environment, and it pulled me in. Like I felt the fear, and it was a So people, it's a dark thing. So my point is, this is all about that, glorifying sex, and he was murdered. There's murder, sex. There's a lot to this. America And its politicians are obsessed with sex. And they love a good old fashioned sex scandal because they just don't want to get anything done in America. Our politicians don't want to get shit done. They just don't want to. The truth is, you think politics are boring? It's boring to them too. That's why they create this drama and they come in and it's just a TV show for them. Because before, politicians were never on the internet like this. They were on C-SPAN and it was boring. And you never saw them create all this drama and be ridiculous and scream at each other and do these things to go viral. And Jasmine Crockett and dumb fucking idiots like that could not become a thing because nobody watched C-SPAN. And if a clip was shown in Congress, it was C-SPAN. They didn't have MSNBC didn't have cameras there unless it was a special thing. They were always co-opting those. Now it's like everybody's there. Everybody's got phones. Everything's a breaking news. Everything is a drama. So now this is when we haven't had a good sex scandal in a while, right? Right. The last one was what? Bill Clinton. You know, you got George W. Bush who was busy blowing up the world. That's it. You know, doing that. We had that. Clinton, we had the Clinton sex scandal. That was it, right? The last good sex scandal. Obama was squeaky clean with that. He didn't have any drama with that. Joe Biden obviously didn't have any sex scandals. Trump did have his sex scandal before he was president, right? Which was part of the campaign. Yeah. So, you know, we haven't had a good sex scandal. America loves that shit. And if you weren't alive or if you were a child when this Clinton sex scandal went down, you have no clue how that dominated American life. And we're getting close. We're getting close. They printed, you think this is bad? The New York Times printed on the front page about Clinton ejaculating on a blue dress. That was in the New York Times. That was the beginning of it. Ken Starr, his report was super sexual. It was every detail of Clinton having sex with Lewinsky. That was the thing. And people forget Virginia Giuffre. You forget I barely heard this. I don't think I heard it mentioned at all today. First of all, she wrote the book, The Most Famous Victim, right? They say she killed herself. She's dead after writing the book. Now, I can appreciate the fact that someone might be suicidal when you go all through all these things and now they're just going to not stop talking about you and, you know, you're the main victim and perpetually forever you're on the internet. It's never going to go away. This is your life. This is who you are. But nobody even investigated that. We were told it was a suicide. Come on, man. So all I got to say is, if you really want to get to the bottom of this, why isn't Ro Khanna and Massey and Green going out saying, where are the files on her death? Come on, man. She's dead. And it never came up today. I was like, we're not talking about her? She's the one that said Clinton was down with the sickness. She's the one that George Clooney getting a blowjob at Epstein's house. Clooney went crazy. That hit the news last month. You didn't hear about that. It was reported sporadically, and Clooney was going nuts. Did you notice that Clooney was doing some press and looking very sick, and they were like, he's not doing well? Clooney looked very bad because that came out. They went after the book publisher. I guess the excerpts of her book came out. I'm really confused on I didn't even know a book was happening, and he's in it. So there's that. Look, if you think this is the most important challenge facing America right now, and I mentioned that, you have to ask yourself, what's your priorities, man? Like, really, what are your priorities? What are your priorities? If you think this is more important than the price of energy, it's not. Donald Trump had the Saudi Arabian, I guess he's the crown prince or whatever. I get lost on these people. And he's been accused of committing a murder. And he's sitting there in the White House with Trump. Because we need the oil, guys. We need the prices down. So we've Congress can't sit around and say they don't do nefarious things all the time around the world to get things done. But now we're going to be holier than thou and say Epstein is like, that's the moral line. Okay. So we have a murderer. No one disputes the fact that he murdered. We have a murderer sitting in the White House with Trump doing a business deal. Was it 11 of the hijackers or 9 of the hijackers or whatever, 9/11 were Saudi Arabian? The Saudi Arabian prince even addressed that today. Did you see that? That came up. So we've got this stuff going down. We've got the CIA paying off all sorts of warlords throughout the countries, these third world countries. We are doing all sorts of dastardly shit everywhere behind the scenes. We are working with the worst of the worst. We have operatives everywhere that are embedded in really dangerous organizations that are reporting back to us that are doing bad things, and we're paying them off. This is not just movies. This is our government. But we're going to get on a moral soapbox, shut everything down for America for this. I just want to know, what are our priorities? So I'm about to get to the list. And so, oh my gosh, I'm like 50 minutes in. Okay, this will be a little longer than I thought of show, but it's important. Here's my disclaimer before I read this list, okay? It's a very sensitive subject. We've already covered that. But everyone should be able to talk about this without fear of retribution or being canceled. I or you or anyone else that doesn't think this is important for America, I'm not saying it's not important. I'm saying it's not important now for us right now in our economy and with our political climate. It's not important right now like other things. So I should not be judged or canceled for having an opinion. It's a smart opinion. It's not, and it's a common sense opinion. But everybody should be able to express their opinion on this. So if you tell me I think this is the greatest thing that's ever happened, then I can't argue with that. For you, that's your opinion. If you think this is awesome, you're super excited, yay, let's get it going, cool, good on you. But I don't agree, but cool. So that's the heart of the matter. What is the most important thing for America? One, and two, can we have a good discussion about this without being, without being accused of being an insensitive monster? Because a story that's 15 years old, now it's becoming a thing. I happen to think, okay, tell me how this affects me and everybody else in an economy that's at 14% inflation since Biden took over. Yes, they're saying it only 3% with Trump. I appreciate what they're saying, but a pound of beef is $15. It used to be $5 to $6 before Joe Biden. Check it out. So we have to get prices down before Biden levels. And I know I'm digressing. I'm good at that. I appreciate Trump blaming Biden, saying we inherited a mess, but you're a year in. I was about to say motherfucker, but I'm trying not to cuss so much, but motherfucker, you're a year in, man. I hear you. And I agree with you. Like I totally do. He's right. So what are we doing with this? What are we doing with this today? When you guys and yes, I know the tariffs. Yes, he did the tariff thing, and they're saying tariff isn't working out on that. I understand we have to course correct. But again, that's more important than 20-year-old emails or 10-year-old emails from Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, who, by the way, still has said Trump is in the clear, and she could be your witness in Congress. But see, that's unsavory. You see, for her to talk, they'd have to give her a full pardon and release her for her to actually talk and expose to whatever secrets. But that's not savory for us. But we'll pay a warlord. Look, I'm going to just be fucking real. We'll pay a warlord in Afghanistan $2 million of American money to go kill his own people in another tribe that happened to not be down with us and create all sorts of chaos in the Middle East we'll let Israel starve out the Palestinians. Cool, you know, but that's okay. That's not unsavory. But when it comes to, we want to get to the bottom of it, but we're not doing anything to get to the bottom of it because it's unsavory. It's a fucking joke. It's a joke, man. You've got Bill Clinton, Jazane, the Maxwell in prison. You've got 5 or 6 of the victims, 10 or whatever, at a press conference. All these people could be testifying in front of Congress. They could all do it. But we're not doing it. We're saying, well, we have to do it our way because it's better we slow down the government. It's better we do this than really do it. What? What? It's not wrong for me to say 2 + 2 does not equal 5. And that's what they're giving us, especially with what happened today. I am staggered that this was the thing. In 40, 30, 20 years, let's say 1 year. In 1 year, our last year with Congress in session, there were a number of things they could have done this, pass it in one day. A number of so many cool things they could have done for America. And they didn't do it on purpose. They can, but they won't. And we have to see that is the biggest headline today. They took a non-important American issue that's a sex scandal and made it law. They created a law to make the sex scandal an important issue. I know what you're saying. You're saying, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Jason, but the poor victims. Okay, well, I agree with you. But a lot of these poor victims have millions of dollars now. Not taking away from what they went through. They deserve the money and they deserve justice. But think about this. Remember when Joe Biden and all them, they said they lost 250,000 little babies and children crossing the border, and they've been recovering those children. It's been a miracle. It's been incredible, and the stories are coming out. I think they just recovered something like another 1,000 kids that were misplaced in our country. They lost the kids. The rescue. That's exciting work. That to me should be a one-day bill. That's more important. The babies. It's priorities, guys. So don't judge me or judge someone else for thinking this isn't a priority. It's not. There's nothing in that bill that they passed today in one day that the president now has, supposedly will sign tomorrow. And that's why it was important for me to do the podcast tonight, because the news is happening so fast. There's nothing in the Epstein law they passed. I'm going to call it a law. There's nothing in that law that helps you or me in our personal life in America. And isn't that the job of fucking Congress? That's their fucking job, not to be the world police, not to be nation builders, not to give $40 million to Al-Qaeda in the last 3 months. Guys, what we do what our Congress does is toxic to our future. It's poisonous to give enemies aid and comfort in the guise of we're trying to help them. It's toxic to not hold them accountable, but give them our money. And it's toxic to not course correct the economy, but instead, this is what we're doing. So if we find out today, and I'll show you the article, Hakeem Jeffries and a number of Democrats went up to Epstein after he was convicted in Florida of sex crimes. He was convicted and did time. He's a registered sex offender in Florida. They're asking him for campaign money. So would you take here's my question to you. If you're a Democrat or a Republican, would you take campaign money from Jeffrey Epstein? And I'm talking about before. Would you do it before? Maybe you would. He had a reputation. A ton of Democrats did after they knew he was convicted. Food for thought. Here's another question. If you, it's a question to you, if you're trying to justify, oh, here's the other thing. So you've got the people. Here's what you're going to do. Okay, I'm going to read you the names, and then there's going to be a list that comes out when it ever comes out, whatever redacted or not. When it finally comes out, God knows how long that'll take. Could be after Christmas and New Year's. You're going to see people on that list that you're going to automatically go, I like them. And that's what's going. That's the problem with this situation. If you hear the name and you like that person, you automatically go, I don't believe it. There's got to be a reason. Okay. And sure, there might be. So you're going to already separate the winners from the losers on this. And if you hate Trump and Trump has something comes out on him, you're gonna, and the rumor is there might be something salacious. There is a rumor that's been not substantiated, but it's out there. There might be something salacious. And if something comes out tomorrow that's super salacious and he does an apology to the nation, you can go on this podcast and start blowing me up, calling me a hypocrite. I'm not a hypocrite. I'm not saying that there might not be something. I'm saying common sense says there isn't anything because we would have seen it. Dude, look at our politicians. They can't wait. You tweet something that's like you tweet a misspelled word. It's all over the news and the internet. They're ruining you. It would have already come out in this climate. So you're going to try. So for example, George Clooney, here's a perfect example. Do you like George Clooney? I love George Clooney. I think he's a fantastic actor. ER is one of my favorite shows. I think it's one of the greatest shows ever made. Okay. ER is fantastic. He was brilliant in that. Most of his movies, I'm a huge fan. He is a blockbuster movie guy. I can't tell you a movie that I've watched George Clooney in that I thought it was a bad performance. He's an amazing thespian. He's an incredible actor. Okay. But Virginia Guthrie put him in her book saying he got blowjobs at Epstein's parties. Okay. So you might be saying, hey, that's not a big deal to have oral sex at a party. You may feel like no big deal. Okay. Then you might say, oh, that's horrific. Okay. See where I'm going here? It's all about moral subjectivity and where you stand. I mean, look, if you're a very holier than thou person, you would not vote for anybody that had a sexual impropriety. But see, you vote for these people that do. So don't give me that. If you voted for Trump, he did the grab by the pussy and he had sex with a porn star, a dream that a lot of young men have. He paid her off, which is technically prostitution, but you voted for him. So if you're a Christian, you get where I'm going. If you support Bill Clinton, he was on Jeffrey Epstein's plane like 39 times. So if you worship Bill Clinton as the greatest Democrat ever, evidence shows there's smoke there. Do you hate him now? Do you still support him? You see where I'm going here? It's all subjective. So this is pure politics. This is pure politics because whoever they can take advantage of with their name, Democrats and Republicans, Larry Sumner's is already guilty of shit and he's already confessed to it, and Trump's killing him with it. Trump just said, how about this guy? All right. So they're going to do that. But so the justification game is going to start happening. Everyone's going to do it. Republicans, Democrats. So if you're trying to, so here's my thing. These people got on this list somehow. You don't accidentally get on a list or have a picture of Epstein. It's not an accident. Sorry, this is itching me. So my question to you is, if they're either all guilty or they're not, right? There's no, I thought you were going to point the finger and say, Jason, this is a moral situation. It's the most important situation in facing our nation. If it is, then you can't give anybody a pass. Keep that in mind. Okay? So if you think that's the most important thing in the nation, like Congress did, and we have to do press conferences all day and we have to pass a law to get Pam Bondi and whoever to get these files out, which they're still going to redact them, by the way. And if you think it's the most important thing in the world, then you can't give any of these fuckers a pass that's on this list. None of them. Elon Musk, Zuckerberg, was reported to have a dinner with Epstein. You can't give him a pass. You have to assume he's guilty doing stuff at the dinner. You see where I'm going with this? If there's an email that Jeffrey Epstein wrote that said Trump was the dog that won't bark and Trump spent 4 hours or whatever with one of the girls by himself. Okay, if you're going to believe Epstein that Trump's guilty, then Bill Clinton's guilty. You see where I'm going? So don't play this justification game with me and act like you're all morally superior, because you're not. Gavin Newsom, for example, I have Gavin Newsom drink. He's the last fucking guy that should be talking about the Epstein files. Come on. He dated a 19-year-old when he was 39 and got her drunk all the time in San Francisco, and nobody said one thing about it. And come on, man. Look, I'm not here to judge people, but I'm saying all these guys do this shit, and gals, and they point the finger at each other all day long. And then now we want to get morally outraged. We want to be outraged about it, and we want to make that a law. Did you know that there is a slush fund for Congress? You should know this. Google it. It's verified that there is a secret fund that if members of Congress staff accuse members of Congress of sex crimes or assault, they will settle with them, paid for by taxpayer money. They have a fund for abuse and sexual assault defense for Congress. And guess what? They're paying people out all the time. So all these people, yes, what Jeffrey Epstein did, sex trafficking with underage people, is absolutely terrible. My point is, they're all guilty, but they are the people you voted in, man. Live with it. That's my point. It's frustrating to me. So would you hang out with Jeffrey Epstein if you knew he had been convicted of a sex crime? A lot of these people did. They had dinner with him and they knew it. Katie Couric just came out yesterday on a podcast and said, it's going to come out that I had dinner with him. Katie Couric, one of the most famous and powerful members of the Democrat media. She's a Democrat media elite. The person that destroyed Sarah, I lost the name, Sarah Palin's career with one interview question. Katie Couric hung out with Epstein. So she's saying, I'm not guilty. I hung out with him. Okay. You're going to give her a pass? Why? Do not play the moral justification game. If you're amped up about this and you want to see who's on the list, they're all guilty, dude, or none of them are. RFK Jr., another example. He came out during the campaign and said, before he ended his campaign and joined Trump, said, yeah, my family flew on the plane like 4 or 5 times. I was on the plane. I knew Epstein, but hey, RFK Jr., he's on the record. He had like 60 affairs or some shit. Mistresses. He had an open relationship. Duh. He's a Kennedy. But you're is it Maha? Make America. You're Maha, right? You're loving. You're all about the Kennedys. Okay. So I just am disgusted that we're here. I'm disgusted that I'm going to read you a list of names, and now we all have to sit around and go innocent, guilty. It's like playing, it's playing with people's lives here. And my theory, I'll just give you the RFK theory. And I think. So anyway, my point is, a lot of them hung out with him after he was convicted, and they knew it. Okay, Katie Couric did it. Bill Gates. Bill Gates' wife came out and said, I explicitly divorced him, and one of the reasons is the shit that he did with Epstein. And Bill Gates came out and said, yeah, I was having sex with people at Epstein's apartment. Epstein had a sex apartment. Some people call it a fuck house. I'm sorry, I'm going to be really graphic with you, but that's what that's called in politics. It's a fuck house. So if you want to go have sex with somebody and go party, you go there. We're not even talking about the drugs that was probably going on. There's a picture that's circulating today of Clinton and Epstein looking all fucked up and high on something like all sinister. I mean, on the plane, I think. Bill Clinton brought staff members on the plane. Bill Clinton had Secret Service on the plane. Why are we not interviewing them? There are people in Washington that know all the secrets, but somehow they are immune to testifying. So that came out with Jeffries, Katie Couric. Here's my last graphic. Bill Clinton is absolutely guilty. We all know it. And the media and the Democrats give him a free pass. If you're not, here's my thing. If you are so obsessed over Trump, and I'm not defending Trump, I'm being very honest. I'm not defending Trump and a lot of this jam he got himself into. But if you're defending Clinton and you're like, well, that was in the past. If you're defending Clinton, but you want Trump to go down, you're a hypocrite because they both should go down. If they were both guilty, they all go down. And as far as I'm concerned, if Trump has some sinister shit in this and then it becomes another impeachment and all these things, well, fuck it. He needs to go. I'm not going to, that's fine. But then everybody else goes to trial on this list. But it's not going to happen because it's politics. Okay, so I had some articles to queue up, but I'm not going to queue them up. The one article I had that is interesting, let's see, is that, let's see, where's the one? Here we go. I'll just share this one with you. Hopefully I'm sharing the right screen. Here we go. Okay, so it's not shoes, it's this article. So there's a talk. This is a reputable source, Just the News, very reputable source, saying that a leading fundraising group for Democrats were all over Epstein for years because he was giving a lot of money to Democrats. James Comer is a Congress cat, and they're saying that they've. This is the story that was most important for me to share. They're saying that Clintons have received subpoenas. That's not being heavily reported, but it's out there. Clintons have gotten subpoenas or some kind of, congressional notification. We need you to talk. They're calling it a subpoena. Okay. They want testimony for their Epstein ties, but they are ignoring it. There's no response. Of course, there's no way Bill Clinton can testify about Epstein. There's no fucking way. There's just no way he's going to ever do it. He'd rather be put in jail, right? Because what he cops to will probably put him there anyway, right? He's going to get grilled, especially if he goes, it's not happening. So what they're going to do is they're threatening to go contempt of Congress, which could give you like a year or two in the can. And you might be thinking, well, why should they why should they it's the Clintons, why should they testify? It's Bill, he's older, right? They're powerful. Well, did you know that years ago, I think it was during Whitewater when Clintons were in office, Hillary was given a congressional subpoena and she testified. She testified before Congress more than that in her career. Benghazi, which she was responsible for, Secretary of State, everybody forgets the shit that went down because you don't get that pumped into your ears and your eyes and in your face on your phone every day. But if social media started giving you history lessons on the Clintons, you'd think a little differently about them. In their prime, they were very, very tough. A lot of people said lethal, dangerous people in politics to work with. A lot of people died around the Clintons. It is what it is. A lot of rumors and scandals around the Clintons. One of the most scandalized administrations in modern times, probably the most scandalized. But Hillary had to go to Congress a few times and talk, answer questions. There's all sorts of video of her, answering tough questions. So he's not the president anymore. She's not running for president. They can testify. Will it happen? I don't know. If I was Bill's lawyer, I'd be like, dude, don't say a word, which is the smart thing. Okay, so here's the list. I know if you started watching this podcast, you're going to finally get to this list at an hour and 14 minutes in. It's just nuts. It's 1 in the morning. I'm crazy. But look, I love the United States. I'm a patriot, and so are you. And I really thought it would be important, and I had to get this off my chest. It's important news. So I'm always committed to talking about important news that affects the nation. Um, so I'm going to show you the list. It's on Grok, and the list I'm going to give you is a list. I'm not saying they're guilty, and I'm not saying they're innocent. I'm going to run through this list. I'll give you a little commentary here and there, but this is got Democrats, Republicans, sports got people, comedians. It's a crazy list. And there are two people that now aren't on the list that I named. I don't think are on the list. We'll see. George Clooney's one of them. So your first name is Clooney. I talked about that. Katie Couric is on the list. So this is a list of people that verifiable can be connected to Epstein. That's the list. Now this list was compiled through Grok. Okay, and here it is. Here it is. This is. Oh, this is. This got messed up here. So I'm going to stop sharing for a second. My mouse, let me fix this. My mouse, ironically, my mouse died. So I'm losing a little bit of control with it. So here we go. It's on a battery. So live video, these things happen. All right, here we go. Okay, cool. I'm going to be able to control this a little better here. Okay, let's see here. Here we go. Let me back it up here. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, here it is. So let's share the screen again. Sorry about that. Okay. This is, all right, the comprehensive list. This is compiled by Grok. Okay. So I had Grok pull this for me, and this was my criteria. I'll read it to you. My criteria was, well, I'll just read it to you. Let me jump to this here. Here we go. This is a list of individuals connected to Jeffrey Epstein based on verified reports from court documents. Guthrie versus Maxwell. Okay, that is the trial, and then U.S. versus Maxwell. So Guthrie sued Maxwell as an individual for criminal conduct against her, and the United States obviously put Maxwell in prison. Flight logs released by DOJ, okay, and you can read it. Black books from the seizure of Epstein's stuff at his estate. His estate records have been given to the House Oversight Committee. A lot of our politicians have these records, guys. They're acting like they've never seen it. They've all seen it. They just want to have there's everybody has things they want to get out. Both sides. We're going to a war over it's going to be a sex crime war. That's what we're getting into. A war of words. Media investigations that have been reported by these sources, all the reputable sources. Rolling Stone even got in there. Disclosures by the FBI. Okay. And this is all the names I've put: social interactions, business dealings, flights. They called his private jet the Lolita Express. You haven't seen that reported much at all, but that was a thing they said all the time. If you don't know who Lolita is, you should know. But there was a novel written back in the day. I think it was in the 40s or 50s. I should know this. I'm a pop culture guy, but you can correct me. It was written by a man, okay, a guy. I think it was Russian, maybe a Russian. It's a novel about an older man seducing a teenage girl. And the preface of the novel was the girl enticing him or not? It's like a fantasy. It's just a disturbing book. It was banned in certain countries, banned in certain, it used to, schools couldn't have it. It was, people have written other literature based on it. There's been a few movies on it. So the Lolita, and then music, obviously. So the name Lolita is synonymous with a teenage relationship with an older man, which is a sex crime. Okay. So the Lolita Express, there you go. They called this plane, essentially, the media dubbed it. So see how the media came up with it was a different world 10 years ago, guys, than it is now. This was looked at extremely differently than it's looked at now. That's why they're reconstituting it and going, okay, now there's this, everything's everybody's guilty. It's now we can use it. Now it's all these lost documents, unsealed documents, all these things. Okay. So you name it. Some are just simple acquaintances, Grok is saying, right? Okay. So there it is. There's the list. Here we go. Alphonse D'Amato, former senator, a Democrat. If I know their political affiliation, for sure I'll tell you. Contributions noted in Epstein's records. Okay. Epstein gave him money. He showed up on DOJ evidence list, and it's been reported. There's your link right there. Okay. Alexander Acosta, former labor secretary, Democrat, oversaw Epstein's plea deal in 2008 in Florida. A lot of people said it was one of the worst deals ever given to a guy. Okay. He got a sweetheart deal for his crimes. He was back on the streets in no time. And then he was hanging out with people and got even more powerful. He claims that Epstein had intelligence ties. Okay. Of course, Billy Bob Clinton, you know about him. They're saying verifiable 11 plus times on the jet, but it was more like 39 times. Bill Richardson ran for president. He was the governor of New Mexico. He's dead now. Campaign contributions from Epstein. He was in a lot of the court docs. They're saying he's one of the guys, his estate might have settled with the victim. There was a lot of rumors that Bill Richardson was like doing really dirty shit. He had a lot of dinners, yada yada yada. They were him and Bill Clinton. Now, if you don't know, Bill Clinton and Richardson were allies, hung out all the time. Okay. Ehud Baruch, former Israeli prime minister. If you don't know what that is, it's the guy that did the job that Netanyahu's doing right now, like the guy in Israel, right? Essentially, kind of the president, prime minister. He multiple meetings, 30 meetings, verifiable. What is he talking to Epstein about? Stayed at Epstein's house, the fuck houses, and financial dealings. Epstein did a lot of financial stuff with a lot of people, helped them with property, they said he was a tax genius. Peter Thiel, tech billionaire, he hung out with Epstein. He came out just on Joe Rogan's podcast last week. I was hanging out with that. People are starting to out themselves because they got to get ahead of it. He's another one may not be on this list, but he confessed to it. He said he got tax advice. Gary King, former Attorney General of New Mexico, Democrat. Campaign contributions. George J. Mitchell, former U.S. Senator, I think he's a Democrat. Don't hold me to that. Campaign contributions. He took flights. Henry Kissinger. Okay. Republican, I believe. Former Secretary of State, one of the most powerful, iconic dudes in the history of politics. I think I'm going to make sure I think he was a Republican. Let's see. Was he? Pretty sure. I should know that. American diplomat. Yes, he's a Republican. I knew that, but it's been a while, so I just had to verify it. Okay, because he was in the Nixon administration. Kissinger. He was in the Black Book. Okay, which means Jeffrey had his number, a personal number. He talked to him. Jim Baca, former New Mexico land commissioner, Democrat. Campaign contributions. Okay. Jim Solano, former Santa Fe County sheriff. Campaign contributions. Are you getting the picture? Epstein was funding elections for these guys. Okay. Jim Solano. I just mentioned that. John Kerry. Remember him? Still doing his thing. Former Secretary of State. Ran for president in the Black Book. Interesting. Prince Andrew. Now, we know about Prince Andrew. He was one of the chief offenders, lawsuits, paid off ladies. He had a huge settlement. Okay. Multiple flights. He was guilty of sex crimes. Clearly, he's not been prosecuted, but he was just a week or two ago. He was what do you call it? He was what is the word? It's late. He was disowned by the royal family. He got stripped of his titles. Now he's just a rich dude that's getting old. Royal family, MI6. And he was hanging out. Look, how many people hang out with a prime minister, hang out with the former president, hang out with the award-winning actors like Kevin Spacey. Kevin Spacey's on the list, one of my favorite actors. He's on the list. Do I give him a pass? I have to. I have the same moral dilemma. Do I stop watching his movies or anything he does? But we know that he's a sex maniac for young dudes. But he likes to have sex. But Kevin Spacey was exonerated. Okay, so anyway, and this next name's I'm blow your mind with this next one. But here we go. I don't even know. I'm going to try to bust through this list. It's going on forever. So John Kerry, Prince Andrew. So my point is, if you're telling yourself that Epstein was not assassinated by a government, you're just fooling yourself. He hung out with a lot of top major government officials, and a lot of people speculate Jeffrey Epstein had cameras all over his house and he was filming sexual encounters, and that's how he got leverage on people. But there's been no proof of these videos. People are saying that there were videos. Now they're saying they're not. Whatever. They are saying they found a lot of pornography connected to Epstein, but a lot of it is just, really terrible stuff that you can't, it's hard to identify these victims and it's not related to, there was a lot of shit to go through that's just nefarious and dastardly. RFK Jr. Okay, so here's where I'm going here. He flew on the jet like 5 or 6 times. There might be a lawsuit, who knows, that got covered up. He's in the black book. His family was on the Lolita Express. He copped to it before he dropped out. I believe one of the reasons why he dropped out and joined forces with Trump is because the Epstein stuff, it was like 2 weeks later. The Epstein stuff came out 2 weeks later. When I saw the Epstein stuff, I was like, dude, you too? I was an RFK guy. Just so you know, I was an RFK guy. I was really on the RFK train. But when I heard about the Epstein thing, I told myself, I'm done. Like, I didn't like the excuse. It sounded really weak to me. So here's another food for thought for you. This could be why Trump was fighting the list so bad, or fighting the release. Possibly there's some dark stuff about JFK Jr. in there, and Trump's trying to help him out. I honestly think that Trump was like, that was what Trump was. I honestly think Trump was trying to help somebody out that's on this list. And my thought was, who would he be trying to help out? And it occurred to me today, RFK Jr. And possibly when Trump finally acquiesced and said, just fucking do it, maybe, it's speculation, of course, who knows, but maybe Trump and RFK finally had that talk and RFK was like, just do it. And Trump was like, I can't, what are we doing here? And they have a very close bond. They joined forces, and I think there are 4 main reasons Trump won, and that's one of them. RFK's people voted for him, and they wouldn't have voted for him before. And a lot of them were independents like I was, right? So, and a lot of young people were RFK people. So I think that might be the big scandal they're trying to avoid. I think there might be more questions than answers for RFK Jr. So my speculation is one of the reasons Trump was calling it a hoax and was so against it was because he's trying to protect RFK Jr., because that would be a huge hit against the administration if there was something that came out and RFK Jr. had to resign. Now, let's keep in mind, RFK Jr. has a history of sexual impropriety. He has a history of multiple affairs and multiple mistresses. He has an open marriage. Okay. So I'm trying to do the math here, and sometimes the easiest answer is right in front of you, and it's the correct answer. So My speculation is the reason why Trump was fighting this so hard wasn't for him necessarily because he knows he's in the clear. Let's just be hypothetical. If he is in the clear, then why else would he do it? It would it would make sense that RFK Jr.'s reputation and standing in the administration and legacy was something important to Trump. And Trump always tries to pay you back if you do him a solid. He will support you. He's good like that. And he might have been doing that to try to help RFK Jr. Because to me, it's interesting to me that that hasn't been reported more. Food for thought. Sarah Ferguson, Fergie, Duchess of York, another royal family member. Flights. She got a financial bailout from Epstein. Now, Giselle Maxwell connects to this. People don't realize that Epstein got in with the royal family because Giselle Maxwell knew people. She was a high society chick, right? She hung out with everybody, and then she became Epstein's girlfriend. They had sex a few times, but it was more like it was a weird relationship. She said, I listened to, by the way, when she did a deposition with the U.S. attorneys, was it last month? I actually, while I was doing some housework and some chores and stuff, I listened to, it's like 7 hours. I listened to about 4 hours of Maxwell's testimony or deposition. I guess you call it a deposition in front of the U.S. district attorney. I heard her voice and the questions and everything. They redacted some stuff, but most of it's pretty clear. It was very enlightening. It was incredibly enlightening. So what people don't understand is there's so much stuff out there on this, but nobody has the time to listen to it and read it. I didn't even have the time, and I'm a junkie for this stuff, to listen to all of it, but I listened to a lot of it. She didn't say any. She talked about her whole history with Epstein. It was fascinating. In fact, I really thought this would be one hell of a podcast to go through this, all that testimony, and stop and talk about it, which I'm really tempted to do. But I just thought, maybe I thought the Epstein thing was going to die down. But anyway, it's available on the DOJ. I just downloaded it, the MP4s, and MP3s, listen to them. Yeah, MP3s, 4 is a video. So anyway, she mentioned that Epstein gave Sarah Ferguson a bunch of money because she was running out of money. Even the royals bankrupt. Tony Blair. He was just with Arnold Schwarzenegger a couple of weeks ago campaigning against Proposition 50. Tony Blair, the guy that helped with the Iraq War, the axis of evil guy that fought the axis of evil with George W. Bush. Tony Blair's another real famous guy. He's a powerful guy. He's in the black book. How did Epstein hang out with all these people? It's crazy. You're not hearing about that. We've got the list, guys. That's why I'm just staggered. I'm like, we're sitting around. Congress is playing games with us. They're saying they don't have the list. They got the fucking list because I got it off Grok. And then William Burns, former CIA director, he did a lot of meetings with Epstein for career advice. This is in the emails. House Oversight Committee. William Burns, I'm not sure if he's a Democrat or a Republican. Let's see here. Burns, Democrat. He is independent now. He's a registered independent, but he served under Bill Clinton and George W. Bush. Okay. So independent. He's on both sides. Okay. But he was getting career advice. Interesting. How is Jeffrey My question is, how can Jeffrey Epstein help anybody with their career? Okay. Now here's the entertainers. Grok decided to give us, categories. Alec Baldwin killed a woman accidentally on a movie set. Okay, this guy's literally taken a life. Alec Baldwin's another level. But also, one of the great, in my opinion, one of the greatest actors in the history of movies, in my opinion. He had, in fact, he's got one of the greatest monologues ever in a movie. Glenn Ross, the Coffee for Closers monologue. It's brilliant. It's one of the most incredible is one of the most incredible scenes ever. It's amazing. And then he's done a number of other things. Alec Baldwin, I enjoy his acting, but he's a radical left wing loon. Now he's chilled out on it after the whole, New Mexico, another New Mexico connection, the accidental killing, which he was exonerated from. But he was in the Black Book. Okay, he was on the Rolodex. Uh, Google Rolodex. Shout out to the Rolodex. It doesn't exist anymore. Of course, Bill Cosby. You're not shocked by Bill Cosby. He was a neighbor of Epstein. Okay, went to the sex parties, of course. Now, oh, by the way, are you noticing some of these names came out in, let's go back, 2019, 2021. Okay. Now, the 2025 notations are regurgitated because the news has popped up again. A lot of these names have been out there, guys, for years. Bruce Willis, he's in the records. Not sure if he went to a party or at the house, but he's in the records, which is the Epstein records. Bruce Willis could not testify now because he has dementia. I'm not quite clear the name of he has a particular disease. I'm not downplaying it by just labeling it dementia, but essentially he's out to lunch. There's no way you could ever interview Bruce Willis at this point. Bruce Willis, one of my most famous, this list will challenge everyone. I love Bruce Willis. He's one of the greatest action movie heroes in history. He's an icon. Cameron Diaz, model turned actress, very famous actress. She retired from movies, came back to her after a while. She laid low for a while, which is interesting. Cate Blanchett, still doing stuff. She's another fabulous actor. These are all high-level actors. These aren't just like guys on a Amazon Prime B movie with an alien or some shit. These are like all these actors made huge money for their studios. Bill Cosby, obviously, changed television. Bill, you just know him as the terrible rape guy, but he's an icon. And before that, he was one of the greatest entertainers in America. He was known for. He had, before Seinfeld, he had the Cosby Show, changed TV forever, made so many millionaires. It was crazy. Launched so many careers. They say he was a brilliant TV guy and did so much for people of color in the entertainment industry, and a fantastic stand-up comedian. Speaking of stand-up comedians, Chris Tucker, he already came out and did a statement saying, hey, I was invited and I just went with a few people and I don't know how I got there. Chris Tucker's story is really fucked up. Chris Tucker acts like a guilty guy. He was on the flights. Okay. Now, Bruce Willis, Cameron Diaz, Cate Blanchett does not say they ever took a flight, but there are flight logs. So we know if they're on the log, they took a flight. Courtney Love. Courtney Love is one of my favorite musicians, the former wife of Nirvana, Kurt Cobain, Nirvana frontman, an iconic guy. His band changed music history with the Seattle sound. Her band called Hole was a very successful band, toured the nation with all these big stars at the time. She was very famous, and I'm kind of a Courtney Love like if I met her, I'd fanboy. There's only certain people I'd fanboy. Courtney Love, I'd fanboy over. I had a crush on Courtney Love. So she's in the Black Book. Okay, so Epstein had her on speed dial. David Blaine, he's the magician that a lot of actors and hip hop guys hang out with now. He does the weird pull the frog out of the mouth. David Blaine, he's kind of a viral internet guy right now. He's been around for quite some time. He's in the emails and documents. Okay. I'm intrigued. I think it would be an interesting book if somebody put it together to talk about what these, kind of piece together what these people were doing. David Copperfield, let me tell you about him. David Copperfield is a famous musician, magician. See what I did there? David, oh my gosh, this is taking me forever. Okay. Let's run through this. I'm just going to run through this, but I'll stop with David Copperfield. I'll give you a little. He had his own island. He was that rich. He was a famous magician. I still think doing Vegas stuff. He was sued by multiple women for what is it? When you trap somebody, it's not kidnapping, but it's like a lesser charge, like false imprisonment. He kept ladies on his island and pressured them for sex. He was sued and settled out of court for essentially sex crimes. He's still doing his thing. Now, he got a lot of scandal and had to lay low, and it was a big deal for him, but he got past it. Okay, here we go. I'm going to read this off. Harvey Weinstein, Itzhak Perlman, I don't know who that is, violinist. Kevin Spacey, one of my most favorite actors, House of Cards, all these crazy Oscar winner, 2-time Oscar winner. DiCaprio, okay? Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson. Mick Jagger. Naomi Campbell. Woody Allen. Meetings and calendars. Flights. Naomi Campbell took flights. Michael Jackson hung out with him, okay? Business. I don't know who Khashoggi is. Saudi arms dealer. Bad guy. Okay. Alan Dershowitz. That is his attorney. He was deposed and came out squeaky clean. He was accused of possibly being but Dershowitz was his lawyer who Epstein fired because he wouldn't play by Epstein's rules. Alan Greenberg. Big financial guy. Okay. Bear Stearns, CEO. That's huge. Andrew Farks, real estate mogul. Bill Gates, goes without saying. Elon hung out with him too. Frederick Furkai, a mega hairstylist entrepreneur. Relationship detailed in unsealed docs. Probably did hairdressing for him, but he hung out with him. He's a huge icon in New York hair. Ghislaine Maxwell, goes without saying. Glenn Durbin, hedge funder. Jean-Luc Brunel, modeling agent. Okay, he supplied models. He died in jail. He went to jail too. Interesting. Bezos had dinner with them. Jess Staley, a banker. JP Morgan. Larry Sumner's flights, meetings, emails. He just confessed to getting sex advice because he was trying to seduce a woman who worked for him. Sumner's was talking, a Democrat guy, funded a lot of Democrats, worked for Democrats. This guy was trying to seduce younger women using Jeffrey Epstein's tips. Leon Black, billionaire, birthday stuff, hung out with them. Les Wexner, Victoria's Secret guy. He had a power of attorney with them. He was a client, a big client. Wexner has a lot of dirty dealings and reputation. Rothschild, a huge billionaire. He was part of a divorce settlement. Okay. Zuckerberg, Peter Thiel, I mentioned that to you. Reid Hoffman, he's the LinkedIn guy. Okay. A tech guy. Dinners. Jeffrey Epstein loved the tech guys. Ron Burkle, Rupert Murdoch, Murdoch, Fox News, a lot of UK papers, owns The Sun, powerful media mogul. Stephen Hoffberg, I'm not sure who that is. Sergey Brin, Google guy. Tom Barrack. Okay, Deepak Chopra. He's a famous health guru, famous guy. Edelman, scientist. He got funding. Krauss, physicist, got funding. Malcolm Gladwell, come on, famous writer. He went to parties. Minsky, AI pioneer. Nowak, Harvard professor. He's another guy. His name's coming out a lot. Chomsky, okay. Murray Gell-Mann, physicist. Stephen Hawking. Oh my God, everybody was getting in on the parties. Jesus Christ. Coslin, Pinkler, I don't know them, but they're famous. Okay. Adriana Munchiska, assistant. Adriana Ross, assistant. Cindy Lopez is a victim. Ethel Kennedy, RFK Sr.'s widow. Okay. She was hanging out. Okay. Went on the flights. Joanna Salzberg testified about encounters. She's a victim. Katie, and by the way, oh yeah, here we go. Katie Rumier, White House counsel. Okay, post 08. Sarah Kellen, assistant, flights with Clinton. Steve Bannon, one of Trump's right-hand guys back in the first administration, went to jail for Trump. That could be another guy Trump's trying to help out. Okay. But I think RFK Jr. is more obviously important. Advice on a European tour. And then, God rest her soul, Virginia Giuffre, who passed away. They're saying she committed suicide. She had the lawsuit. She worked at Mar-a-Lago, and she was recruited there. And they're saying that's where Trump was. And then her memoir, Revelations, George Clooney was in that. He's not on this list. Katie Couric's not on this list, but there are a lot of people that are going to be on this list. She's the one that basically put Maxwell behind bars. Wow, almost 2 hours. I knew this would take a lot of time, and here we are. So there you go. There's the list of people in the media that can be subpoenaed right in front of Congress right now. And maybe that's where they're going. Maybe that's why Congress had to do all this so they could subpoena all these powerful people. Think about this. Every one of these people on the list, except the victims and maybe some of the assistants, they've probably already lawyered up, and probably Bruce Willis, because he can't testify. Or any of the deceased. There's a couple of people that are deceased on that list. They've probably lawyered up. And the shitstorm that will happen if they are named and the legal wranglings and all that stuff, it's going to be unbelievable because there could be a class action lawsuit. States could sue these, the state of Florida, the UK could sue these, saying it could be chaos. Now, I'm not saying it shouldn't happen. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that this chaos that could be unleashed upon everyone could do more damage than good. For example, okay, let's go back to the actors. We had Leonardo DiCaprio, which I buzzed through that list. We had Naomi Campbell on that list and Chris Tucker. She's a reality show star and a model. Cate Blanchett, okay, Cameron Diaz, Bruce Willis, all those people I mentioned have squeaky clean, like public records. Let's say, and most likely there's no evidence they did anything wrong. Let's just go with that. In fact, everybody on that list is saying they're not guilty. So let's go with that. But it's going to turn their careers upside down. And a lot of them don't really, when's the last time you saw Chris Tucker in something? Cameron Diaz just did a Netflix movie. Naomi Campbell, Bruce Willis. Now, Leo is still cooking, okay, and he's the workhorse. But let's think about this. If DiCaprio is outed, this is an example, I'm just saying, is outed in the next release, right? Because I guess the media is not taking it seriously unless you're in this. He's already been outed. But if he's outed and he lawyers up, whatever it is, and then he doesn't want to testify, whatever, even if he's not guilty, his career could be totally in jeopardy. You feel me? And let's say he's taken off the chessboard like Kevin Spacey was. Kevin Spacey was not guilty of the crimes that they say he committed. At least in court, he was exonerated. It's been 8 years. He was exonerated through all those trials. but his career pretty much died, and he's trying to rebuild it. And he went bankrupt. He lost everything. He had probably as much money as DiCaprio. Maybe DiCaprio's more, but Kevin Spacey did some major movies and won. He has more Oscars than DiCaprio, and was a really rich guy and had all he hung out with the Queen, and he Kevin Spacey had tons of he was flying around with Clinton. That's how he got on the plane. He was with Clinton. So, and Clinton got a lot of these actors because Clinton loves actors, right? I think Chris Tucker and Spacey were on one of the fights. That's how Chris Tucker got in there. I'm just using Leo as an example. But what happened to Spacey most likely would happen to DiCaprio. And then what happens is it's the pylon. Then let's say DiCaprio had, interactions with men or women that were sexual, that those people come back and say, well, I didn't like it. It wasn't, you know how that goes, right? So when Trump said there's a lot of people that can be hurt by this more than helped, he's got a point. And read this list, Google it yourself, and ask yourself that question. Everybody's going to be either guilty on this list or innocent. And you know how it goes. Everybody, if there's a disclosure dump, okay, today we're disclosing it. Here's the list. There's the red meat for you rabid lusty dogs that want sex scandal. Here's a list of people, but we don't know if they're guilty or innocent. It's just the list. Everybody's guilty. So it will change a lot of things. And then there are people that aren't on the list that are going to be outed because people on the list will say, well, I was at the party with George Clooney, right? So there you go. Katie Couric outed herself. Peter Thiel outed himself. And in the last 2 weeks, 3 major names, huge names, were outed as being connected to Epstein. And Clooney, the accusation was he had a sex thing at Epstein's house. Media not even covering it. So you tell me, is this important to America? All right. God bless you guys. Sorry, it got dirty tonight. And, look, I'm just giving you common sense, and America is important to me, and that's why I'm doing it. Okay. So thanks for watching the Jason J. Daniels Show. Thanks for watching my show. Let's see. My graphics are working. So I know it's such a sad moment. It's a real sad moment, man. And that's why I thought it was really important because there are a lot of people that think the way I do about this. And I don't think that people are listening to that. It's common sense. But if you enjoyed this, please subscribe. My subscriptions are growing on YouTube. So thank you guys. And Rumble. I hadn't looked at my Rumble subscription list in a while because I'm so busy. And I grew like 40 subscriptions in 30 days. So thank you. It was cool, man. I was like, that's pretty dope. So thank you guys. It means a lot. So please subscribe. If you are watching on YouTube, just hit the old subscribe. If you're watching on X, because I love to stream on X, please like and reshare. Now, if my kind of politics not working for you, you don't have to reshare, but a little like and a follow goes a long way. If you're watching on Rumble, jump to YouTube and find me, subscribe on both, vice versa. I really appreciate that. If you follow me on X and you click a Rumble link, it'll open up Rumble for you in a browser. You might have to log in to subscribe, but I really would appreciate it. I've been working really hard all year, and I'm about to hit, I think after Thanksgiving will be my 1-year anniversary of reconstituting my podcast. So thank you. I've also added Twitch. I see you guys on Twitch. So thanks for watching tonight. I really appreciate that. I'm trying to add more like Kick, and there's all these places to stream. And I'm also going to move away from Rumble. I'm going to still post on Rumble and stream, but I'm going to move to a more sophisticated software. And I'm trying to do better. So the shows will be better, and I appreciate that. Just to remind you, my name is Jason J. Daniel. I call it the Jason J. Daniel Show. Very meta. I'm at Jason J. Daniel everywhere. And if you would like to follow me specifically, Jason J. Daniel on all of the apps, just give me a follow. I'm on my Facebook group. I have almost 4,000 followers on two different Facebook pages. I have an interview Facebook page where I just post the interviews, and then I have a generic, not generic, but a general page. Actually, I have three pages, and then I have a companion page, which I try to post articles and things that I reference on the show. I try to post them to the companion page so you can go there and check that out if you have questions. And you're like, oh, Jason mentioned this article. Um, and that's it, guys. So thanks again. Appreciate you greatly. And again, we cover my schedule. I'm Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, usually in the evenings or in the afternoons. Check me out. Thursdays, we do interviews or an extra show. And then I'm always dropping shows when there's breaking news like tonight. So, but if you want my schedule, 6 to 7 o'clock, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right now. Off all next week for Thanksgiving. I will not be podcasting unless there's some kind of absolute breaking news that compels me. No podcast, but you can check on my archive. And got a lot of stuff, got a lot of videos. So God bless you guys. Go with God. And look, last thing I'll say, my heart goes out to any victim of any of these people. And I think, yes, all these people, these powerful people should go to jail. I agree with that. If they did this, fucking send them to jail, bankrupt them. I'm a populist. I don't think all these guys should be making this money anyway and living these lives. And all of us are, being forced to deal with all the problems we deal with because of the decisions they make. Put them all in jail. But as far as I'm concerned, you put, fucking Bruce Willis in jail, you better put Bill Clinton in jail. The politicians are doing this to cover their asses. And in fact, I didn't mention it, but there's a couple of politicians that right now in Congress that took money from Epstein. They're not talking about that. But this is why we podcast. This is why we try to get this news out to you, because there's more than you're seeing in the mainstream media. And there's a lot going on. There's a whole, jailbreak of information every day, especially with Trump. And the next president might be the same. The playing field has changed on the information war. And that's why I'm doing this, and a lot of others like me are spending their time, it's valuable time, to try to get the word out, because we're patriots. We believe in this country, and we also believe the government's too big. Republican or Democrats, too powerful. And this is one today is another frightening example of how powerful our government is, not to mention what they do with the taxes and healthcare and all these things. So I digress. So God bless you guys. Go with God. And remember, just the facts, no judgment, unless you earn the judgment. God bless you. Take care.